My name is Danilo. I'm co-founder and ecosystem lead at Kakarot. And today I'll just share a little bit about what is Kakarot, what we have been working on, and what are our future plans. So just an intro, Kakarot is a ZK EVM. It's basically an EVM written in Cairo, which makes it provable. So before talking about Kakarot, why ZK EVMs? Why not ZK EVMs? For those who have been into ZK, you might already know that some of things that are very fast on a normal bytes 0 and 1 computing is not so fast on polynomial computing. And that's the reason why Starknet built their own ZK VM. They built a virtual machine or a blockchain that is very ZK friendly. But in our case, we decided to build a ZK EVM because we believe that Ethereum is a thriving ecosystem. There's a lot of toolings, a lot of great developers and projects already ongoing, and we want to be part of these movements, not just by scaling Ethereum, but also by being able to integrate with all these toolings. So, I shared a little bit. Just the trade-off between ZK VMs and ZK VMs that a pure ZK VM would be faster and more efficient than a ZK VM. But a ZK VM have the network effect. You don't have to onboard new users. You don't have to have them learn something completely new. They can just build what they are. They can just use all the toolings they're used to and just migrate to a ZK VM. So this is a very a simple overview of Kakarot. Basically, Kakarot, you can see it as a smart contract on Starknet, which will receive an EVM transaction or an EVM raw data, and then they will have the contract logic will interpret, run the bytecode as a smart contract, which will be then processed by also the Starknet OS, generate the proof, and then verified on L1. This is a very simple overview of the first version of what we were thinking about Kakarot. But right now, Kakarot can, besides this, can also become an L2 or L3, depending on which sequencer we use, or if you really want to be on Starknet. The idea first was also that Kakarot would allow Cairo and Starknet's contract interaction within the Starknet ecosystem itself. Some of the perks for Kakarot, comparing with other ZK EVM teams, is that on Kakarot we focus fully on implementing the EVM, and we don't, of course we study and we learn about the ZK part, but we don't have to implement the ZK, which is done by the STARKKorea team. The STARKKorea team already have a ZK technology that has been proven since 2018 with more than $1 trillion being transacted on their circuit. So it's a very battle-tested technology, and we are basically building a ZK EVM on top of it. Even the Starknet OS, it's an OS written in Cairo. So instead of having a Starknet OS, we are having an EVM OS, we could say. A little bit about Kakarot's story. We started as a fully open source project. The project itself, the idea itself, was shared by Shahar, who is the one of the co-founders or the co-creators of Cairo. Last year, July, he said it would be possible for someone to write a ZK EVM in Cairo. There's the tweet. He mentioned that there is a repo that he already started working on. We never got to see that, but later that year in October, we were preparing for the ETH Lisbon hackathon and also a big Starknet hacker house. And one of the projects that was proposed by Abdel was, hey, why we don't do this project that was proposed by Shahar in July. And then from there, me, Elias, Clement, and some other developers said, hey, let's do it. And we started contributing completely open source. And then we had a team for IT Lisbon, and that's where Kakarot started. From there, three of the 5 members who joined Kakarot at that time became co-founders, and here we are today. Yeah, this is just one funny story about the Kakarot in the beginning, is that when we were in the hackathon, we were doing things really fast. And there's a difference between Starknet address and EVM address. The EVM address, they are padded only 20 bytes. The Starknet address, is the full thing. I think 31 byte. So there's some difference. And then we had to create this function that will make a EVM address into Starknet address and vice versa. And then we did, okay, all the contracts in Kakarot will start with Abdel, OXABDE1. And for the hackathon, all the Kakarot contracts had this. It was pretty funny, but now we don't have any more. But there was a very funny story where, because of this, it helped us debug like 3 or 4 hours before submission. We were having this bug where we couldn't figure out what's happening. And then we were like, oh, wait a minute, this contract, it's not Abdel, what's happening? And then we were able to track back the issue. So just a little bit about Kakarot community. This is definitely a project that wasn't just born by ourselves. It had contributions of more than 30 developers on the Starknet ecosystem. I would say that it was one of the first big projects for the Starknet community to come together and build. Right now there's Madara, there's Birus, there's Tsubasa, there's a lot of projects, even Dojo. I think Dojo was actually before Kakarot. But the community coming together and implementing a lot of things, it was pretty amazing to see the early days of Kakarot. And now, where are we currently at? This was on Cairo 0. Since then, we have incorporated. Some of these contributors join our team full time. Some are still contributors. And now we have 6 months since then. We now have a whitelisted testnet ongoing that we opened since Paris to have some initial developers trying out the Kakarot pre-alpha testnet, I would say, because we are finding a lot of issues. We have been able to integrate with EVM toolings, Ethereum toolings, which was our goal from the beginning, to be able to integrate with all the toolings that are being developed in the Ethereum ecosystem, even though we are using a Starknet node. So right now you can integrate with Kakarot using MetaMask, Remix, Foundry, Ethers.js. We are already trying out Hardhat, Veeam, Trufflebox, WAGMI, and all the others EVM tools. So it's really fascinating. When we first got the MetaMask transaction on Kakarot, we were like, oh, this is so crazy right now. We are using MetaMask to make a transaction on Starknet. And when you would see if your transaction went through or not, you would go to StarkScan or Voyager, and it felt like a bit weird, but at the same time very funny. You're using Remix to deploy contracts on Starknet. You're using MetaMask or even Foundry to debug contracts on Starknet. And currently we are in the migration from Cairo 0 to Cairo 1. I think we had a big jump from the contributors to where we are. Since 3 weeks ago, we've been doing a lot of migration while still debugging the older version, debugging the logic. And right now we are open to open source contributors. So if you're interested in learning Cairo 1 and about EVM, you're more than welcome to come join us. We are also making sure that our exploration and things that we find out on how to optimize the code is shared with the community. So we are trying to do some research on, like comparing loops versus recursion in Cairo. What are some of the things that Sierra brings that there wasn't possible in Cairo 0? So just some simple findings. For example, right now, if you use structs in Cairo 1, the Sierra will optimize some operations for you. For example, Cairo is a read-only memory format. So if you want to update a struct, what you have to do is you have to create a completely new copy and just update that variable that you have. Let's say you have variable A, B, and C. If you want to update C, you have to copy A, B, and then just change C. So every time you wanted to update a new struct, you need to make the entire copy. But right now with Sierra, let's say you change B and C. Before, you would need to copy it twice, but now you only need to copy once because the compiler, Sierra, is optimizing. In terms of always use inline, there's a feature in Cairo, which is you can make it as always inline, which basically what does under the hood is you copy that code snippet into the other functions that you're calling, because when you're calling some function, there's some extra steps. And when you use always inline, it makes the code bigger, which the deployment will be more expensive, but your code will be more efficient. And besides this, we do some other explorations. If you want to check out our repo, and you see all our findings on Cairo optimizations. Also, right now we are extensively testing our current testnet, our closed testnet, with following Hive and Ethereum Foundation's tests. Right now, they all have. It's natural that the Ethereum community have very extensive tests for nodes to make sure that all nodes are following the same specs, and all nodes have. If the nodes pass this specific test, they could be considered secure. So right now we are running through these tests, and yeah, that's what we've been focusing on this last month. We are always open to contribution. If you are interested, you're more than welcome. Everything that we're developing in Kakarot, they're fully open source. There is no line of code that is closed source. Everything is open source. So, and we try to keep all the issues as broad as possible, from beginner, very good first issue to more harder level issues. So if you go to any of the repos in Kakarot, you'll probably able to find an issue that might be good for you to start with. So when Testnet and when Mainnet, right now we are aiming to go to Testnet this quarter, a public testnet, because we already have a whitelisted testnet. Sorry, my brain is a bit foggy right now. And Mainnet, we hope to hopefully achieve by next year, Q2. So yeah, if you have interest in trying out contracts in Kakarot, by the end of this quarter, you might be able to already start deploying your own projects. And we might have some programs and some hackathons by then, but to be announced. Okay, if you would like to follow, I think I'm I finished a lot earlier. But if you want to follow us, you can follow us on X, not Twitter. When I was doing this, I was like, okay, I have to update myself. On Telegram or on our website, feel free to reach out. We are open to anyone who wants to contribute in any way. We have also a very interesting Discord group with a lot of memes being generated every day. So yeah, feel free to join us in however you like.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Will you support SHA-256 very soon? Will you support the realization precompile of hash functions, complex hash functions like SHA-256? That's actually the question that we asked a lot to these EVMs. Yeah, that's.
Yes. So for Cairo 0, we have 8 of the 9 precompiles ready. We just don't have the pairing. For Cairo 1, because they don't support hints yet, we are still waiting for that to migrate. But if you want to look at the Cairo 0 code, which is also provable now that they have the prover open source, you will be able to see that you have the SHA-3 and all these other precompiles too. We only don't have the EC pairing. I don't remember all of them by head though. Does that answer your question?
We'll chat about that later.
Okay.